Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. This is a TV review of the following episode 13. So this was actually a fairly decent episode, so I'm going to get my one gripe out of the way fairly early. And that gripe is that this show still seems to only ever have two FBI agents that can go and investigate or take on Joe Carroll's men at any one time. One of those two agents has always got to be Kevin Bacon's character. It just seems to have every episode. This series is sending Ryan Hardy, which is the character played by Kevin Bacon, massively outnumbered or against the odds against Joe Carroll's men. But it just keeps doing that. So that again happens in this episode, but this episode is actually, I would say, a marked improvement because it kind of things basically start to sort of go wrong for Joe Carroll here, so it kind of breaks the format a little bit. Initially, you have obviously Roderick, who is basically has revealed himself as the sort of the sheriff of this town where obviously everyone's holed up, and I'd actually forgotten that Mike Weston actually would recognise him, and he does pretty early on in this episode, and that's quite good because I thought that maybe that they would string it out for a bit long and have them kind of one go in, one out in one door, and the other one come in, so they would never meet for some time. So I'm glad they kind of got that out of the way early. So Mike Weston basically recognises Roderick as the sort of one of the men that beat him when they sort of when Weston was kidnapped a few episodes ago, and basically tries to sort of pull a gun on him. But because he actually did this in the sort of sheriff's department, all the sort of the other sheriffs basically sort of tackle him to the ground, thinking obviously that he's just some sort of madman basically. But obviously everything's sort of explained fairly quickly, and obviously Roderick's on the run. Sort of goes back to Joe Carroll, and sort of says like, the jig is up basically. They're on to me. We kind of need to get out of here basically, and. There's, as I sort of predicted a few episodes ago, there's a big rift now between Roderick and Joe Carroll, and they sort of come to blows, and basically Roderick decides he's just going to go off on his own, and he kidnaps Joey and sort of just drives off. So everything's sort of going wrong for Joe Carroll, who's clearly sort of like losing his cool a little bit. Well, not just a little bit, quite a lot. He dispatches Joshua along with two other sort of nameless goons who are going to get killed to try and sort of relocate Joey. It's quite good. I quite like the way they may be playing Joshua as maybe as a slightly more sympathetic character. He has a moment with Claire where Claire's sort of pleading him, sort of almost appealing to his better nature to sort of just try and she obviously knows that Joshua does have some genuine affection for Joe, and she's kind of appealing to him to sort of let Joey go. But it seems that Joshua is just kind of almost given up on life and is now just going to sort of follow sort of Joe Carroll to the end basically. So back to Roderick, who's been sort of taken into custody, and he gets sort of found out again after sort of a brief sort of attempt at sort of fleeing. The police managed to sort of track him down. He managed to kill a couple of state troopers en route, however. So he basically is kind of trying to sort of offer a deal where he'll give the location of Joe Carroll's people, and obviously the location of Joey, who he stashed somewhere, in exchange for freedom or what have you. Now the FBI aren't gonna sort of stand for this, so basically they orchestrate a plan to sort of pretend that Ryan Hardy is going to kind of like let him free if he sort of helps him sort of get Joey back and basically sort of off the books. But of course we've got the FBI start secretly sort of tailing him. At the same time you've got Joe Carroll's men, including Jacob, who are sort of like tailing Roderick. So Roderick's obviously gone into this house and sort of has tied Joey up there and killed the occupants. And basically you've got a kind of shootout. Roderick's killed, so that's his storyline over. He's shot by Joe Carroll's men, and you have a bit of a shootout between Weston and Ryan versus the three men sent by Joe Carroll to retrieve Joey, including Joshua. Weston and Ryan kill the two sort of nameless goons, and initially you've got Joshua actually manages to get Joey out and sort of recapture him again, but he's sort of pursued by Ryan, and basically Ryan just tries to appeal to his better nature and just sort of say, like, let him go, and he does. So that was quite good. So we actually got some payoff for that one. So they've retrieved Joey now, although Roderick has killed and they don't have any other sort of leads in the area. But you have got, obviously, they know that Joe Carroll must be nearby. They've also got like another B plot, which has got where Ryan Hardy, just on his own, holds a press conference and basically says to the sort of like the followers via TV, like, if any of you basically sort of come in and sort of turn against Joe Carroll, will kind of give you immunity. So a one-time deal. It's the sort of first come first serve. And this initially pisses off, obviously, everyone from the FBI, but they kind of admit it's not a bad idea. And then right at the end of the episode, you have like a female follower turn up at the police station wanting to turn herself in. And a little bit of a twist on the end there, so if you haven't seen it, I suggest you look away now. Just when you think she's going to hand herself in, she pulls a hairpin out and stabs the chief FBI guy in the eye and is shot dead, and that's how the episode ends. So kudos for putting that one. I didn't see that one coming, so that was quite good. And generally speaking, this episode was pretty thrilling. And obviously we have a major character death in the form of Roderick. We've got some consequence here. We've got obviously Joey sort of back in sort of into sort of like the hands of the police. The other thing that happens is there's that Claire basically dupes Joe Carroll into sort of like almost trying to sort of give up on Joey, but it's just a ploy so she can stab him in the gut. This of course pisses Joe Carroll off, who phones Ryan up and is now threatening to kill Claire. So pretty decent episode, I have to say. This one, it was I still have that mild complaint where we just seem to have this thing where they only ever going to send one or two police, and it's always like the rest of the police always seem to be like a good sort of 5-10 minutes out or whatever, and it just seems like, why does that keep happening every time? If they had just surrounded the place, it would have been dealt with. So there's that. But the other thing I wanted to say was, and this is not really against this particular episode, but I was thinking that the house where Joe Carroll's followers are, it's housing all of these serial killers. Now these are serial killers. What the thing is, they have the urge to kill, yeah. So they must be, at least some of these followers must be trying to be going out and to try and get their rocks off or whatever by killing innocent people. The whole point is that they're serial killers, including Joe Carroll, but none of them seem to be doing it. And if you put a bunch of serial killers together, I'm sure that you would have at least some of them going out, trying to murder people, and that doesn't seem to be happening, which I find a little bit sort of unlikely if this was to happen, obviously. And obviously, if that were to happen, then the police would be able to sort of maybe sort of get a radius about where this house is. They know it's in the area, but if there were killings going on, then they would be able to find out that a little bit easier. Now, obviously, you could say Joe Carroll, said not to do that, but these are people who are psychologically deranged, so there's no guarantees that you can control anyone. They're not like a proper cohesive trained team or anything like that. But there you go. Anyway, that's just my thoughts about this kind of like this particular part of the series as a whole. But this episode a lot more interesting, a lot more going on, and I enjoyed it. So I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. Did you enjoy it? And let me know what your thoughts, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.